Hey guys, another video for our Nature and Environment in Japan playlist. This time every year the farmers often will burn off dead grass around their fields. It helps keep the rodents away and keeps the weeds out of their fields. So when spring comes and they're ready to plant again, their fields will be ready. So they sort of have to wait for the right conditions, of course. Rainy days no good, really strong winds no good, and then they need the wind to be going in the right direction so it's not going to blow their fire and burn down some buildings or something. And then often the fire brigade will come and sort of supervise and provide a safety presence just in case any problems happen. Usually what they do is obviously burn from the downwind parts of their fields and slowly burn upwind, which means that the part that's actually burning will usually be quite small, relatively small, because they're burning back towards the part that they've already burnt, which sometimes is called back burning perhaps. So here's some hard-working firefighters. These guys don't actually have to do much, they just sort of oversee. They've got some appliances over the other side there that have got hoses laid out just in case to protect those buildings, just in case something does end up over there, some sparks or something, and they just do a slow burn. So they do huge areas, but they just do it a bit at a time so that it's not hard to control. So we've showed you this before. Just this particular day there are a couple of things that we hadn't seen before that sort of made it a bit more interesting. Lots of fire trucks, that's always fun. But it's quite common to see old cars out in the fields. Quite often the farmers will just park them up. Sometimes they use them for storage, they'll store things in them. Other times they're just left there because that's where they happen to break down or something. So here's one example of that. Little car sitting there and it's just the fire's just burning around it. Probably not the first time, that was probably there last year as well. It's probably been burned a couple of times, that poor little car. And then this is something we hadn't seen before either. Old Oji-san over there with his remote control. And what's he got? So we're looking around to see what he was controlling with his remote control, and then sure enough we spotted a drone buzzing around. So probably a practical thing. You can sort of keep it a bit of an eye on different parts of the field, but probably not necessary. The amount of firefighters and sundry Oji-sans around the place, there's probably enough people keeping an eye on it without his drone, but a bit of fun anyway. So you can see the fire trucks are up there between the fire and those houses just for safety. Bit of a day out for the firefighters. You'll see some of the little K trucks have tanks of water on the back too. They use that to control the spot fires as well. Poor old car. But yeah, you can see what they're doing, coming back this way, upwind, a little bit at a time. So even though there's a huge area it's burnt, there's only little small fires going on around the place. So not real good for the environment. We actually did hear from one old guy once that apparently they're not supposed to do this technically. They're not supposed to burn fields like this. Apparently some prefectures actually have rules against it, but they sort of turn a blind eye. So not quite sure what the reality of that is, but it can't be terribly good for the environment. Huge fires burning every year. So there's his drone buzzing around. It does tend to be fairly smoky. If you're sensitive to smoke, this can be a pretty hard time of year, because obviously if that's happening all over the prefecture, you will notice the sky will go brown, and you can definitely smell the smoke. Some mornings we get up in the morning, go outside, and you can smell the smoke straight away. The guys out in the fields doing their thing. So anyway, that was the burn for this year. It's still going on, of course. It goes on for weeks, goes on between now and spring. So we'll show it to you again next year maybe. More videos coming soon.